lost. It's like a whole lot of love. Find me out and love can light the way. Got a dream, don't you, child? Memory will fade. The light parade.
Oh, what another amazing day doing nothing. Oh, you know, I got that email I've got to write, but who wants to write? Oh, I don't know. So nice, just sitting here. I should get up and throw this away, but ugh.
Oh, hey, Wendy.
Topher Kogen, what are you doing here?
We got a show to do.
Ugh. In this episode, we'll be answering the question, does cannabis make you lazy or stupid? We went out on the street to the University of Arkansas and Fayetteville Farmers Market to ask
And
people.
nobody would talk to us.
They wouldn't talk to us, right?
Yes.
Everybody was so busy all of a sudden, avoiding the camera.
Saying, oh, I've got to go take a test or go to lunch. We were there at 3 o'clock.
Yeah, exactly. And then at the farmer's market, people got real busy with their dog, or if they had a child, they would race by us because we had a cannabis shirt on.
Yeah.
Right?
We don't want to corrupt your kids. We just want to talk about medical cannabis and how we're not criminals, we're patients.
We want everyone to learn the truth. I'm Wendy Love Edge.
And I'm Topher Kogen.
And we're here from the Green Zone TV at the Fayetteville Farmers Market. We had to get up real early, didn't we?
Yeah, super early. Like 8 and 9.
We are not a morning people.
No, but we will do anything we can to spread the word and get you in the green zone, right?
Absolutely. All right, let's see if we can get some people to talk to us. So, do you think cannabis makes people lazy or stupid?
All I know is I'm allergic to it.
Absolutely not.
I don't know about stupid. Laziness could definitely be a side effect if you're on it at the time. Maybe not forever.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Thanks, Jake.
Yeah, no problem.
Do you think that that cannabis makes you lazy and or stupid?
I think that's up to the person using it. I don't think that cannabis will necessarily make you stupid just by doing it, but you can do stupid things like anything else, like alcohol or anything else. If you abuse it and use it the wrong way, then I'm sure then yeah, it'll make you stupid and lazy. But
lazy, yes. Stupid, no.
All right, cool. Thank you.
Thank you.
But I do believe that it has a lot of medicinal purposes for those that are suffering from pain, back pain, cancer, all the wicked little diseases that are out there. I do believe that it does provide some relief for them.
Hey, my name is, and I just can't stop yawning. It's like everywhere I go, I'm just so tired and I just don't feel like doing anything.
The following is a dramatic reenactment performed by Topher Kogen.
Gotta set the night on fire.
So you're saying that cannabis use led to your laziness, sir?
No, not at all. I work night shift at Playthings Were Us, so I mostly just sleep during the day. Is that what people think cannabis does? Wait, what is this for? Where am I?
Now let's see what science has to say about this week's myth-busting question. Well, we're going to hear from some physicians shortly, Dr. Stefana Pescher and Dr. Uma Dhanabalan, about the subject of does cannabis make you lazy or stupid. But, you know, Topher and I have been doing our own research, right?
Mm-hmm. We have searched the web for
searched for
studies
these subjects.
and other stuff.
Mm-hmm. And, you know, the common thought is that cannabis will ruin your motivation, right?
Mm-hmm.
I remember when I was a kid, those ads, you know, this is your brain on drugs, and they drop an egg onto the fry pan. Right?
Oh yeah, when I was a kid, there was this cartoon guy that was just laying down smoking a doobie, and his dog would walk in and complain about like, oh, I miss hanging out with you.
Oh, that's so
they really
sad.
tried to get you not to do drugs.
Mm-hmm. They really, it was part of the, you know, it's all part of the drug war, right?
Exactly.
So with all that propaganda, you know, we want to really sort through to the truth.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact is, you know, cannabis hits your CB1 receptors and causes dopamine to be released, which is pleasurable, makes you feel good. So who doesn't want more of that, right?
Exactly. Everybody does.
Everybody does. But when they actually studied whether that would decrease someone's motivation, they did so at the Florida International University, and they challenged these assumptions. And came to these conclusions by having 79 teenagers aged 14 to 18 evaluated using standardized testing. And the tests are called the Apathy Evaluation Scale and the Motivation Engagement Scale. What did they conclude, Topher?
They conclude that none of the studies supported any link between motivation, decrease or increase with cannabis use.
Wow.
Yes. And this goes directly against the theory, you know, developed in 1972 that has been running, you know, the propaganda stuff for so long.
Right. So that was really cool. We were able to just find that by Googling it.
Exactly.
Right? And then on the subject of whether cannabis makes you stupid, so there was a study that was done in 2012, I believe. And in that study, they actually did conclude that IQ levels dropped in the participants of the study who were heavy cannabis users.
Oh no.
Yeah, right? That was at Duke University.
Yeah.
But researchers were really leery about that research, and when they looked into it, they found out that they hadn't separated out the participants who were heavy alcohol users or who already had cognitive problems.
Oh, dang. So did anybody go back and like redo research or like do it again?
They did. They went back and looked at it again in Great Britain. And in fact, by weeding out those other factors, they found no link between drop in intelligence or drop in IQ scores and cannabis use.
Dang. And you know what else was really funny? They did find a distinct relationship, however, between cigarette use and educational performance, but no correlation between IQ, you know, height or deficiency between either one of those uses.
Okay, so the IQ score didn't go down, but they thought their performance?
Yeah, so like motivational levels.
Oh, I see, right. Well, you know, strain choice is really important. When you're using cannabis as medicine, you want to look it up. Go to leafly.com, that's a really reliable source. Put the strain in and see how much THC. You know, is it an indica, which will make it more sleepy in the couch? Right? Or a sativa, which is like sunshine and brings, you know, elevates you.
Yeah.
So I think, you know, these things could be seen as, well, sure, some strains make me tired and feel lazy and decrease my motivation, but you have to be discerning and know what you're putting in your body and make those choices.
And from a cartoon that I think is from both of our childhoods, G.I. Joe always said, knowing is half the battle.
That is very true. Knowing is half the battle. So stay informed. And now let's see what Dr. Stef and Dr. Uma have to say about this subject.
I just wanted to do a little session with you to bust some myths that are out there about medical cannabis. A lot of people have the misconception that medical cannabis causes patients to be lazy, lack motivation, and some even worse things have been said which I don't like to repeat. All of this is, of course, not true. Patients who are using medical cannabis use it to help with chronic pain, insomnia, cancer, nausea, fatigue, Crohn's disease, ulcerative colitis, multiple sclerosis, all kinds of neurodegenerative diseases. And basically what we're finding is that medical cannabis allows the patients to resume a normal life without opiates. They're able to come off of multiple medications and really enhance the quality of their life, as well as improve not only symptoms, but sometimes curative of disease state. So again, we would like to bust this myth that cannabis causes lack of motivation and is really just a tremendous benefit to patients, and it's time that society opens up their eyes and sees the truth. Thank you.
When this illness struck her, I wish I had known about cannabis. And now that I've learned about it and all the implications, I have been involved passionately, and I have seen about 4,000 patients at this point between the ages of 18 to 96. And every day I learn something new from my patients. Cannabis has been around for thousands of years. It was originally from Central Asia. It has been known in India and China. It was first recorded in China in the medical records for medical use about 2500 BC. It was actually used in this country up until 1937. It was written as a prescription by doctors for patients for various ailments, from coughs to joint pains to for treatment of absentee-mindedness, forgetfulness, people that needed to relax, anxiety. It was also used in the olden times for migraine medication. It was first noted by Dr. Osler, William Osler, as a treatment for migraines. We've used it in the past for seizures. We've used it for rheumatoid arthritis. We've used it for multiple ailments, from cholera to malaria. So starting from top to bottom, cannabis is been for nervous system, for visual, for glaucoma, for respiratory systems, for digestive systems, for our endocrine systems, for our immune systems, and the list can go on and on.
Hi, my name is, and like I just don't know things sometimes, you know? It's like things are sometimes really hard to understand.
The following is a dramatic reenactment performed by Topher Kogen.
What is the capital of Ghana? I don't know. How do you spell equestrian? I don't know. In 1846, who was the first barber to also become a dentist? I don't know. Dang it, Teresa, are you just gonna let your mind rot away to cannabis? Is that why you don't know things? What? No, Mr. Troubadour, this is geometry. Okay then. If t times x equals 4 times 3 minus 4 times 2 plus 10, and x equals negative 2, what is t? That's easy. Negative 38.
Welcome to the Green Zone, Stephen.
Thank you so much, Wendy.
So, Stephen, today I'd like to talk with you a little bit about the drug war and, as an attorney, what your thoughts are about the drug war.
Absolutely. I think in 1964 and 65, we saw the Civil Rights Act and then the Voting Rights Act. And not everyone was excited about those things. Mm-hmm. And I think they went into back rooms in very nice suits and said, what are we going to do to maybe not totally eliminate, but certainly retrogress some of this great progress that's just been made. Mm. And so in 70, 71, we see the beginnings of the drug war, which, as you know, are continuing today.
Right, it does continue today, doesn't it? And medicine like cannabis is still criminalized, partly because of the drug war, or you may have some other insights into that.
Yeah, absolutely. If we go all the way back to the 30s, and when we see the prohibition of hemp marijuana, we can see that Mexican people, mostly in Texas, were making money growing this for paper, for all kinds of things. Sure, smoking too, probably. But I think what happened was a convergence of interests against the potential for hemp oil and marijuana oil that would compete with Dow Chemical and plastics, and also just sort of racism and not wanting dark-skinned people to be making money in Texas. And so we saw the prohibition start there with a little burp, a little hiccup during World War II when the government released some footage and some propaganda saying hemp for victory, you know, wanting to make parachutes out of hemp and all these other things, which they later denied, and then someone found a copy of that and they couldn't deny it anymore. So
right, can't deny the truth when it's in front of you in writing or
right.
pictures.
It becomes harder, at least.
Right. Yes. So today we still see criminalization, and there are these drug task forces that come up across the country.
Right. We've seen in 2014 1.5 million drug arrests in the U.S. 80% of that was for possession only, and over half of it, no, just under half of it was for marijuana.
Wow.
So we're not talking about like the Pablo Escobars of the world that are trafficking it. We're talking about individual users. And so when we look, we can sort of zoom in, you know, well, like nationally we can look and say, oh, the U.S. has a prison population greater than China, greater than Russia. And when the war on drugs started, we had about 200,000 people in prison, and now we've got about 2 million.
Wow.
And most of that is going to be due to the war on drugs.
Wow.
And so when we zoom in locally, we see a drug task force receiving $250,000 last year from the Fayetteville City Council. And we have to ask ourselves, what are we actually contributing to?
I was looking at the list of drugs that they target, you know, heroin, cocaine, crack cocaine, and cannabis is on the list. And, you know, for me, as someone who is a legal patient in Massachusetts, who's been using it to medicate my body and heal a lot of ailments, it's really strange to me that it would be on the list with those other drugs.
In addition to being relevant for the physical ailments that a lot of people use it for, I think a lot of young people, especially disproportionately LGBT young people, are going to use it to self-medicate from trauma like family expulsion and trauma like societal rejection. And so when we look at these underlying causes of drug use, plant use, I think we then have to ask more critical questions about what we're doing when we criminalize the lives of people who are using drugs.
Right. And it seems like it opens up this task force to target certain individuals, people of color, LGBT individuals, as you mentioned.
Absolutely.
Have you seen some of that in Fayetteville, would you say?
I have received lots of reports, maybe a dozen reports of young people who have been caught by the drug task force. A little over half of them are LGBT plus identified, and they all have a similar story. I had marijuana, I had a mushroom, I was caught by the drug task force. I was then told I had to betray my friends to...
That's frightening.
It is. And so whether it's explicit bias against LGBT people or just the sort of inherent disgusting functionality of the Drug Task Force to force young people to betray their friends, either way, it's problematic.
Absolutely.
Right?
As you mentioned, LGBT individuals may, suffer from PTSD or anxiety just from lots of issues that surface within the family and the community.
Right, and it's going to be fascinating to look at the sort of historical trajectories of who's going to be more likely to have trauma in a country that was founded upon a concept of slavery and heterosexism and misogyny, and how that is going to play out with who has more trauma and who's going to medicate that trauma. So it's fascinating nationally, it's fascinating locally. I recently also filed a Freedom of Information Act request with the police in Fayetteville, and I learned that they had about 495 arrests in 2008. That was the year that we passed the low prioritization, and that last year, 2017, there were 692 arrests for marijuana.
Wow.
So
even though you mentioned low prioritization, they put it on the low priority list.
Right. If I'm a police officer, I see a jaywalker, and I see someone with marijuana, I'm supposed to go after the jaywalker first, theoretically.
But that's quite a large number of arrests disproportionately to other things.
I suspect so, and we know that it's a 39.7% increase in arrests, while there's been only a 13% increase in Fayetteville's population in that same time.
Right. I know there's been a lot of work on that here in Fayetteville and across the country. I mean, let's face it, keeping it criminalized makes lots of people a lot of money.
It does. It does. A lot of the young people that are caught by the Drug Task Force and then placed in Christy Beaumont's drug court program there on Center Street in the old courthouse have told me about the consistently burdensome fines that they have to pay regularly in order to be in that program, and of course if they fail to pay, the repercussions of that. So yeah, it's a big business.
Definitely is.
Yeah.
How would you see that we could change that or work towards change?
Oh, great question. Ideally, we would see the end of enforcement. So as certain states have advanced their own decriminalization of marijuana, I don't like to call it the legalization, because until I can grow as many plants as I want.
Right, it's just corporatization, right?
Corporatization.
Yeah, right, until we have, because grow rights are human rights,
Right, right. We have earth, we have seeds. So I'm careful not to use the term legalized. As far as I know, no states have legalized it, by my definition, right? But if we could do anything, we would cease to criminalize drugs altogether. There's a wonderful group called Law Enforcement Against Prohibition, LEAP, and they propose that the government manufacture all the drugs, and thus we know what is in those drugs, and know that they are as safe as they can be. It's not going to be lined with Drano or anything.
Right.
And that the taxes from those proceeds would go to treatment programs.
Right.
So
what an idea that is. That's kind of cutting edge thought.
I like that a lot.
Yeah, I do too.
Yeah.
Because right now, people who do become addicted to certain drugs, they end up in the criminal justice system without much help frequently, more often than not, don't they?
Right. And when we look at the stigma of drug use, the stigma of being convicted, and all of the collateral consequences of conviction, like maybe I can't live in public housing anymore, maybe I can't get a job anymore. And I think we have to start asking really better and more creative questions. The person that introduced me to LEAP was a 6'7" Republican from Texas with a cowboy hat and a huge gold belt buckle. And he was a member of LEAP. He'd worked for I think the DEA previously. And that was his take on it. Yeah.
Very interesting. I like it.
Me too.
Well, thank you so much for the fine work you do in the community for joining us on the Green Zone.
Absolutely. Thanks, Wendy.
Now, let's do a little myth busting with song. mystical to medicinal, philosophical to the spiritual, the wisdom of the age, the wisdom of the age. Then diabolical and political, geographical, economical division by our race, by poverty and race. New age thought, age-old lies of gateway drugs, madness, illegalized, white guys in government conspiracy. What happened to democracy? Prohibitionist to the anarchist, or indifference from the lobbyist. It's time to legalize, not just corporatize. Technological to the practical, anatomical to the topical. Our knowledge on the rise. Make cannabis arise. It's time to realize and let cannabis arise. New age thought, age-old lies of gateway drugs, madness, criminalized by white guys and government conspiracies. What happened to democracy? Now, when equality is reality, there's no difference between you and me. The dawning of an age, the dawning of a new age, in the information age, cannabis the age.
Till next time, live into your greatness.
Stay elevated.
Be informed.
And
Stay in the green zone.
Be informed.
Stay elevated.
Stay in the green zone.
Wait, I didn't say stay in the green zone.
All right, one more time. And they concluded that there were no difference between the regular and light uses